Hi, I'm homosexual Bryan Safi.
And I'm feminasty Erin Gibson.
And this is Attitudes.
Gender issues.
LGBTQ plus issues.
Pop culture.
And I have a new candle called Hotel Lobby. Can you handle it?
Are we going to talk about, first of all, welcome back to LA.
Thank you so much.
Welcome back.
I was obviously signing autographs on the way home from the airport with my hand out the window. And
how did your show go?
It went so great. It was so fun. I had such a blast. And by the way, thanks, I'm sure, to this podcast, my New York show in August is sold out. So I couldn't be happier about that.
Incredible.
And also to brag a little more, I got to do Grub Street Diet last week, just the New York Magazine like food thing. And it was great. So if you want to read it, you should. And you can go to Grub Street Diet or New York Magazine.
You have a publicist now?
You know what? I don't.
This is just happening au naturel.
By the way, this is happening au naturel, and it is probably the most coverage I've, like, a publicist has never even gotten me these things. So as far as I'm concerned, money well spent. But it's been a fun week in that way.
Well, that's exciting.
And it's an extra historic week, obviously, because I'm covering The Littlest Hobo instead of Dateline.
Nothing else has happened.
Nothing else has happened this week.
Nothing else. Why did they announce on a Sunday?
About The Littlest Hobo? No, I didn't. Oh, well, I did watch it on a Sunday.
No, why did you announce on Sunday that you were going to be covering The Littlest Hobo instead of just giving us one full day off?
You know, it's a good question.
Why did you do that to us?
I think he didn't know, right? If you're talking about Biden and Harris, I think Biden.
I'm talking about Littlest Hobo.
Okay. I didn't know for sure that I was going to be covering the Littlest Hobo.
I'm so sorry
on Friday.
I have to do this. It's just uneven.
I'm so sorry. If we could
just uneven.
No.
This one's
Erin.
filled in more than this one.
Erin is doing her goddamn makeup.
I filled in my eyebrows a little heavier on the right and on the left, and it's bothering me, and it's so obvious in the video. And I feel like, as a favor to you, Bryan, as someone who has to look at me, I don't even know if you do look at me. Maybe you hide me and it's just you and your shoe on the screen. I don't know. But as someone who has to look at me,
I do have to look at you. That's true. But I will say
just thought it was rude.
For you to stop everything and do your makeup in the middle of all my bragging, A. And B, not to mention, for you to stop and do... You know what, though? I will say this. You reminded me of... I remember going to school every morning. Sometimes on the bus, sometimes my dad would take us. Usually my dad would take us, actually. It depended on
your dad would take you on the... Your dad drove the bus?
No, he didn't. But our school was right by his office, so he would take us in the morning.
Okay.
And...
Oh, you were office schooled?
I remember exactly. I learned the ways of Bic pens. I do love a supply closet. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, that's my love language.
My heaven.
People used to go make out in the closet, and I would be like, "Take me to your dad's office and just put me in the supply closet, and I'll get off in there."
I just want to smell the dye of the yellow on the legal pads. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I want to smell the glue of the Post-it. Yes. I want to smell that toner.
Yeah, the tape.
The tape.
That reminds me of the bus when your dad took you on the bus to school next to his office.
Well, the best part about
my
dad taking me to school in the morning was I would look out the window while he played like a sermon on the radio.
Your dad didn't even listen to music in the morning?
No.
I have a million things to say about that. Not even DC Talk?
No, it was just
Amy Grant?
Not even Amy Grant.
Okay.
One time he let us listen to Paula Abdul because she's Middle Eastern. But we looked out. I would look out every morning on the way to school, the window, and I loved seeing all the 80s, like, ladies in their cars doing their makeup at all the stoplights. That was truly, I was like, I need to be in that car.
Decade has not stopped me.
No, that's what I mean. That's why, like, I not only was offended by actually feel like it's iconic. So you could do your makeup here anytime.
Okay, thank you. I do feel like my face is, I'm just very attuned to the lighting here in Vancouver. It's more blue than it is in the States. And so I'm just more attuned to the way that my makeup appears. And so for some reason, there's a lot of darkness here. And I mean that emotionally. And
do people do do you do your makeup in natural light? Is that like typically what
I would like to, but I have this travel mirror. Would you like to hear the most boring conversation in the world?
I actually would. To me, this is interesting.
I have a travel mirror that's like this, and it flips up, and then I can do a little boop.
It looks like iPad.
Look,
I
that's
see.
what you look like.
Oh
Isn't
my
that
God.
fun?
How
That's
cool.
what the show looks like, everybody. That's a mirror eye view.
Yeah, I've seen a mirror before, Erin.
Well, this is a fun mirror because what's great about this mirror is that you can travel with it and it has a light. So that's what makes it a special mirror.
Love that.
Do you know what I mean? Special mirror.
Talk about
No.
Oh, you know
Kamala Harris?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, of course I do. Listen, here's why I'm nervous about it is because I'm excited and everyone else seems to be like not excited, and I don't want my joy to get crushed. That's all.
I'm seeing excitement. I'm seeing things all over. Here's what I'm the most excited for.
What are you seeing? Tell me what you see in your crystal ball, Bryan.
Well, I sort of have been seeing everything that people who don't like her and people who are very excited. I'm excited for this. It's the first time since 1976. Did you read this? That Biden, Clinton, or a Bush haven't been running for president. I mean, this is how, by the way, in my head, I was like, oh my God, that's like 20 years. No, that's like 40 years. It's crazy.
Most of our life.
Yeah.
We've been in dynasties, basically.
Right. That's insane.
I know.
So I'm very excited for that. I'm obviously like, yeah, exactly. Gay Twitter's all Kamala. And my Instagram, I think, is all gay. So it's just coconut memes. And, you know, she's doing the Charlie XCX thing on her Twitter and all of that. So I'm seeing a lot of that. Listen, I am just so happy that Joe Biden is out of the race. I am so happy. Are you talking about
the Brat Summer?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Which I think is we're treading in embarrassing territory.
It is when Conan said throwing shade, and then we were like, oh, it's time.
Oh, please.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So I do feel like, okay, but I am just glad that there is something fresh happening, and that also the president listened to the call of the wild, and the call of the wild was like, you can't just hand this over to Donald Trump.
For the first time, because the call of the wild is usually go out and get your gold in the Yukon. Yeah.
Correct. I mean, that we have to call the littlest hobo.
We have to get it right on the Polar Express.
But listen, I'm aware of Kamala's record, all of this. Like and people should have these opinions and should be critical and all of this.
Yes,
but also but I'm voting for Kamala Harris.
Sorry obviously. To sound like an old person, which I am. Look at my grays, okay? Look at my grays. And no, the carpet does not match the drapes.
Sure.
I don't care. I don't care. I don't
be excited.
I don't think any man would ever undergo the scrutiny that she has.
Oh no, of course not.
And so fuck it. I don't give a shit. Like if you think we're going to get a perfect candidate, like go fuck yourself. It's never going to happen. It takes a sociopath to be in politics, especially American politics. I'm sorry, it does. And
I know that some people,
she's the sanest of them all. So guess what? She's not only getting my vote. I will go to Vegas. I will do exactly what I did for Hillary.
Me too.
Catch me in these streets now.
Yeah, it's exciting. It is exciting. And I also feel that I know some people.
And I would have voted for Biden, and I would have been not happy about it, but I would have fucking done it.
Of course. You know, me too. Of course.
And now I will vote with gusto.
Yeah. I mean, listen.
Who do you think the VP is going to be?
Well,
you put your name in the hat?
I did. Yeah. I think it's going to be the governor of Pennsylvania. That's what I think it's going to be.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. I think that Pennsylvania is a purple state.
Yeah.
People seem to like this guy. Listen.
Andy Bashir?
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I would hope that she would choose someone extraordinarily liberal. I doubt she will. But
what do you think about these rumors about like Mitt Romney or what's his name re-registering as a re-registering as a Democrat?
To compete for, like, to go to the convention
I don't know.
Be delegated. Here's my thing also, like people are calling for an open delegation. I hear you. I get it. I also feel like I don't even know who my delegate is, much less how they would vote. Like, who's our delegate?
Does anybody know? The Electoral College.
Completely. But
what the fuck? We're so dumb. We're dumb. We're stupid. Listen, I troll on Canada because talking about the good stuff's not funny. But this doesn't lay on your life here, you know?
And again, talking to someone who doesn't know about the system there, I will say it's nice that they have more than two parties.
Yeah.
That's nice.
You know what, Bo? Here's the thing. I couldn't tell you, is there a president of British Columbia? I have no idea. Is there like a governor of a provincial fucking, overlord.
Sure.
I don't know who that person is.
Either.
Everybody here knows what's happening in the U.S. to the fucking molecule. They know
what we do sadly affects the rest of the world. It just is. For better or worse. And typically it's not for better.
No. I'm going to be talking about Project 2025 today. Talking about not for better.
God. If only the littlest hobo were around. If anyone's wondering who the littlest hobo is.
Oh, yeah.
Erin.
We talked about it. No, we talked about it in the main feed.
We did, right?
Yeah, I think so. Sergio, do you remember? It wasn't behind the paywall.
Erin, in her Canada-ness, told me about a show that's been on for 30 plus years. Or that was on.
All fairness, my friend Jen Irwin, who is a actor and comedian who understands funny, she told me that explicitly understanding that I would enjoy it. And then I brought that information to you. Mm-hmm. I didn't discover it on my own. Okay, just to be clear.
That's right. So, anyway, it's about a dog who helps people solve crimes. And then even though everyone wants to adopt him at the end of the episode, he prefers to go his own way and gets on a train and goes to the next town. And I'll be honest with you, no confirmation if Littlest Hobo is a boy or girl. I have not seen his penis. And
there is an episode that's solely focused on his genitals.
I'll tell you what else.
I don't know what season it is.
I'll tell you what else is crappy about the Littlest Hobo for 5 seconds. They give him, the episode I saw, they give him a name, like the little boy names him. And I'm like, that is not fair. You can't just decide who
is the name
is.
London? Because that is the dog's name.
That's the dog's name. No, the name is Magnum. Yeah. Which is, listen, I don't mean to talk about dog penises again. I would hate to bring that up, but like, I don't love that name, unless we're talking PI.
Yeah. Which also problematic actor.
Abs, come on. I can't believe he didn't speak at the convention with Amber Rose.
I'll tell you something toxic about my ass. If you put 1980s Magnum PI and you popped him in, you put him in my RAV4, which is the rental car I'm driving here, I would have a problem.
I'll tell you this.
I would have a problem because unfortunately that I have a very basic drunk at a wedding, drunk onto the wedding, affliction for that kind of toxic man.
I understand.
You know what I mean?
I do actually. Yeah.
Just that version of him, not him at the RNC.
My dad was trying to get me to watch the RNC. In fairness, he watches both conventions. He
Bryan, you could grow a mustache like him, can't you? I've seen it.
I could.
Yeah. And then you just fill it in a little bit with the brow filler.
Right on this podcast. Just do my makeup and my filler.
Your dad?
He was like wanting me to watch the RNC. And at one point he goes, Kid Rock's about to speak. He texted me this. Pretty cool.
No, man.
And I talked to him after and I go, do you know who Kid Rock is? And he was like, no, I mean, I know you like him. I was like, absolutely. Loathe him.
Wow. Out of touch on several
He just thought
accounts.
Like, MTV, baby. It was so great. And he goes, Hulk Hogan spoke. I know you liked him when you were kids. And I was like, I gave him that one. I was like, yeah, we did. When I was like 6.
I know you liked watching this man in a bathing suit prance around with
that
other
was pretty
men.
much why. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I did think he was kind of sexy, I think.
Wow. I mean, come on, WWE.
Yeah, babes.
I mean, if you like femme guys, that's where you went for it.
I want to say that's when it was called WWF. And then the World Wildlife Federation was like, mind your own fucking business. Excuse me. But now it's WWE.
Hashtag first.
Exactly.
Hashtag first.
Completely.
I would love to hear from anybody if you have embarrassing people in the world who make you horny. I would love to hear on the Instagram. Who's your most embarrassing, like that you're like, I am mad at my body.
Hulk Hogan. Yeah.
I'm mad at my body.
Well, Dr. Phil was one for me too back in the day.
I remember. Yeah.
I used to have sex dreams about him. The dreams came before the crush. Yeah, I used to have sex dreams about him.
What would you guys do? Tell me specifics.
We were just very sensual. It was a lot of like cuddling and hugging.
Not sexy.
And he was very seductive.
Yeah. Sex swings? No sex swings?
No, it was like a very I have to say it was
like candlelight dinners and like
it was like
oysters Rockefeller.
Sort of. It was more robes and a lot of like it was a lot of
towels.
Wet legs. Yeah, exactly.
You guys were in a duo bathtub.
It was that
you and
vibe.
Dr. Phil.
It really was.
So it was like, not only Dr. Phil
with like a bath oil. Yeah.
It was almost a Harlequin romance novel version.
Honestly,
of that.
Yeah, and that's back to when I worked at Ellen, and there were pictures of like her.
So you were seeing pictures of him every day.
His
in the
picture
hallway?
was outside my office. It was the picture next to my office.
No wonder.
So actually, it started there, I think, and then became the sex dream, and then became a real fantasy.
Yeah, and
for
then
5 seconds. Hulk Hogan and Dr. Phil, I couldn't have worse taste. What about you?
I already said Magnum PI.
Right.
There's something about a man. I would not say this in real life. A man in the 80s in a short sleeve patterned shirt, essentially what would be now a gay man, but in the 80s
with like a camp collar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like a full
tiny shorts.
Small gay.
Well,
gay. Sure. Tiny shorts, Hawaiian shirt that's too tight, short sleeved, unbuttoned to hell. One button just holding the whole thing together.
If not gay, Paul Mescal. I mean, it was one or the other. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly. I mean,
right.
It's 80s gender fluid.
Correct.
Look, that's for me. And then also hair bands.
What's hair bands? Oh, like
I was
bands.
In love with Nelson. Both of them.
Yeah.
If you don't know who Nelson is, congratulations, you're about to lose 3 hours of your life.
Are they the ones that sing?
They're Ricky Nelson's sons. Did you know that?
Crazy.
Did they sing After the Rain? Yeah, they sure did.
I don't even remember their songs. Yeah.
Oh, I know every word to every song that every hit still to this day.
Beautiful. I'm going to look if they still tour.
Yeah.
By the way, I feel like we've done this before. I feel like we have checked to see if Nelson...
I want to see if Nelson's still touring. I believe they are.
Were they twins?
Yeah, they are twins. But they had long blonde hair.
I can't live without your love and
affection. I can't face another night on my own.
I can't believe they weren't at the RNC, if we're being honest. Their names were Matthew and Gunnar.
Yeah. And guess who else I have a thing for? Kip Winger, who sings the most problematic music of all time.
Who is
Kip Winger? He's also a femme lady. Am I bisexual?
You could be.
He's a femme lady from the 80s. Femme lady. He's a femme man from the 80s, but presenting as a mask man. Does that make sense? They had a hit called 17 about fucking a 17-year-old. So
oh my God.
It's hardcore, like masculine stuff. But this motherfucker took ballet lessons and he would pirouette while playing bass.
Wow. Good for them. Do you want to know something about Nelson?
Anyway, here's the thing. I would not act on these things, but I'm here to admit that I'm a complicated human being with weird things happening in my tornado brain.
I think
Tell me about Nelson.
I think their critical mistake, ultimately Nelson's undoing,
was cutting their hair.
Yes, but also they released their first album that had all the hit songs on it in 1990, and their second album wasn't released till 1995. And when the
90s hit, that was grunge.
Totally. And when you have that sort of one-hit wonder energy,
you have to stay in the 80s.
Act fast. You gotta act fast. And that was ultimately their undoing.
That was the time. But at least they made it, I guess. That's the bright side of that.
That's true.
Wow. Okay. So couldn't have been more of a absolute waste of everyone's time to go there.
Well, if you want to have your time wasted more.
Wait, Sergio, tell me
my recap of Little Less Towboat. Yeah.
I can't wait. And Sergio, do you have a, embarrassing crush that you'd like to share?
Margaret Thatcher.
Robin Hood from the animated Disney movie.
See, I kind of get that. He had swagger.
He had riz.
Sexy. And I always thought he could have done better than Maid Marian. I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. Yeah.
Sergio, you agree?
Yeah.
Okay.
She was a little flat.
She was a little. She thought she wasn't interesting enough for him. Well, that was also You guys,
that was the era when they were written like
of women not being characters and things an afterthought.
Completely.
Don't blame the cartoon, blame the writer.
That's right. Now, for those of you who would like to listen to my recap of the Littlest Hobo.
Recap.
It's following. You go to patreon.com/attitudes. It's part of a new thing I'm launching called Bryan's Blessings, which is where
is it going to be wholesome?
Sergio said this.
Wholesome shows that you recap.
A lot of PAX TV.
Are you going to do Highway to Heaven?
I might. It's just one-off recaps of anything from television to movies. And this week it is The Littlest Hobo. The Littlest Hobo helps this cloying, wimpy, tween loser named Marty, which, by the way, in this, they call him Marty. Guess what his actual name is? Because Marty's his nickname.
Martin?
Morgan. What the fuck sense does that
I'm
make?
telling you, things are different up here.
His mother is a bully, the Canadian mommy dearest. The sexual energy with the coach of this track team is truly shocking. It's really unbelievable.
Wait, the also, sexual energy the dog has with the coach, or the sexual energy the coach is giving off?
The coach is giving off to the Canadian mommy dearest. Frankly, to the track team. It's
okay.
It's shocking. Also on the Patreon is our Vault episode plus our Q&A. We answer your questions every week. You can always send those questions to attitudespod@gmail.com. So yeah, head on over.
Should we get into it?
Over. Let's do it. Erin, you know what?
I fixed
You're
it.
filling in your eyebrows again.
But I fixed it. I didn't fix it last time. Last time was a sad attempt to do it while.
So the stoplight turned to green too quickly. I understand. But now you're safely in the parking garage. You can finish it there.
Both eyebrows look even. Yes, exactly.
You look great.
Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for your support.
I have to say, I hate when I have to not that I have to, but I really dislike it when companies cave into pressure from assholes.
Yeah.
And John Deere Tractor is...
Oh, they did?
They did. They caved. And I got to tell you, John Deere Tractor, not a good look to cave to someone called Robby Starbucks. We talked about him last time, but you took that seriously? You took Robby Starbucks seriously?
Also, that you don't understand, these people move on to something else in a week. You could have just waited it out.
Totally. That's all you had to do. We talked about it a few weeks ago, or a couple of weeks ago, that John Deere, the tractor maker, at the time had all these diversity and equality inclusions in place in their training for work, in their mission statement, in their hiring practices, and they have sort of caved. They've abandoned a lot of those LGBTQ plus inclusion initiatives, which is such a shame after a lot of right-wing backlash. Now, in a case like John Deere's, I would imagine that they feel it the worst, because if we're generalizing, and let's do it, I would say that rural parts of, we know it when you look at the maps of red and blue counties, cities, towns, that rural areas generally lean much more conservatively. And we could also say that rural areas are probably the ones who are using tractors more than anyone else. But instead of being a beacon of light and sort of saying like, hey, look, we're cool with this, you could be too, they sort of said like, oh, you guys aren't cool with it? Oh, never mind, we aren't either. And this is lame. So as I mentioned before, Robby Starbucks, who is
not a porn star.
Not a porn star, not a barista.
1976. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know if he owns any stock in Starbucks. I actually don't know that for sure. He has been on a mission to one by one take down companies that have what he calls woke programs and initiatives, and what we call just basic human decency of asking people what their pronouns are, how they would like to be referred to. That's it. You know what I mean? And also saying, hey, don't be an asshole and don't have hate speech to someone who isn't a carbon copy of yourself.
What's hilarious, and I don't want to police people's timeline, but here we go. These companies could have avoided all this by just being cool from the beginning. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
The fact that they're all overcorrecting in this climate is also kind of gross, because it's like, oh, well, you didn't even care before.
And I will say this, what's so gross is that even the words that John Deere used to backtrack about this, or to, as they say in tractor land, put the tractor in reverse.
Or really any moving vehicle, anything that has a gear shift.
No. When it comes to tractors, they always say put the tractor in reverse if you're going backwards. Yeah.
Okay.
They said, we will no longer participate or support external social or cultural awareness parades. Now, I got to be honest with you.
What the fuck?
You just used the phrase cultural awareness parades as if that is a bad thing.
Yeah.
We know what you mean. We know you mean pride parades. We know that's what you mean. And possibly, I don't know, BLM or any, but for you to say we will no longer participate in cultural awareness parades, like
using it like it's
something to be avoided is psychotic. They said instead they're going to focus on professional development, networking, mentoring, and supporting talent recruitment efforts.
Networking is my favorite thing to focus on. I love networking.
Absolutely. And also, I would say that supporting talent recruitment efforts is diversity and inclusion. I mean, I don't know. If you want the most talented people and you're not considering what people's backgrounds are, what they've been through, what they could add, how they've come to be who they are, like, you're missing out.
Mm-hmm.
It's really stupid. So they said that all training materials and policies would be audited now to ensure the absence of socially motivated messages. They also said, though, that they wanted to reaffirm that they do have, diversity quotas that they want to meet. All of this. Robby Starbucks said this is a huge win on wokeness, on our war on wokeness. But I don't think this is enough for customers to go back. Customers want to hear that DEI policies are entirely gone because John Deere did say they believe that diversity can be a strong foundation of their business. They want to stand by it. But again, why even backtrack on this?
I met
Why be at the whims of someone named Robby Starbucks, especially when what they do in supporting pride parades doesn't affect who's buying tractors? What other tractors do people buy except John Deere?
Honda.
Oh, how did you know that so fast?
Because I live in the country.
Right.
Yeah.
You do?
Well, I live everywhere. Is
I
the
see.
problem.
Do you mean New Mexico or
yes.
Canada? Really?
Yes.
I don't know which cities that you're talking about.
Guess what? I don't even fucking exist right now as far as anybody else is concerned. Like, where am I? No.
Well, Honda's giving people $100.
Honda days? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Which, by the way, they're not even giving them a car.
They're giving them
just
$100.
like, hey, let's make your day. Can we pay for your gas? No, you can buy me a new fucking car.
Give me a fucking car, Honda.
Yeah.
I will say one of the things I met a Canadian this weekend.
You're kidding.
You'll be shocked. Oh, I have a story to tell you, but I'll tell you in my shoe because I don't want to eat up any time in yours. But I met a woman, so lovely, and she's in the industry, and she was doing a project in Georgia, and I said, she works a lot in Atlanta, and I said, what's the most shocking thing about America? And she said, the racism. It is pervasive in ways you don't even realize until you're in America, and it's like this shit. Mm-hmm. This is. Yes, it's homophobia, but now also you see how inclusive this hatred is because John Deere's like, okay, great. Now the cultural, fucking on the right side of history, any moves that we make in that area, they're all gone. Because they all count the same for them. You know what I mean? I
never understand how people will take their precious time on this planet and use it to make people feel worse and use it to demean people. I truly fundamentally don't understand why you would go build a house. You know what I mean? Go jump in the ocean. That's a better use of time than this shit. Truly, like this is what you want to do in this world and on this life is picket Planned Parenthood and fucking go to drag brunches and protest them. That's what you're choosing to do? That is the saddest thing I could ever think of. I mean, you are pathetic beyond words. Speaking of pathetic, I did just want to say a couple of things quickly about John Deere Vance, which I don't know what JD stands for.
I call him VD Vance.
His first crime is coming out with a book that was turned into a movie that delivered two of our finest actresses' oddest and weirdest and most batshit performances. I'm, of course, talking about Amy Adams and Glenn Close in Hillbilly Elegy.
Yeah.
How dare you do them dirty that way. Okay? That's your first fucking crime.
Well, the good news is nobody watched it, but go ahead.
Your second crime is thinking as a boy that you were gay because, quote, you hated girls. Okay? That is
not
so deep
gay.
And dark. That's not being gay. That's being a little dick. Okay? That's
you were a little
thing.
misogynist, and you basically that's
you could
red
argue
pill
that
behavior.
many gay men probably are. Some gay men are misogynists. You could argue that, but your basis was that you didn't like girls.
Yeah, why don't you talk to your buddy Peter Thiel about what that means?
Ugh, disgusting. And I also want to say, for not that I think anyone who listens to this show is giving JD Vance any pass, but I'll tell you who is. Your parents who think he's Kid Rock.
Yeah.
They're serving up that Kid Rock energy of like, JD Vance, a new generation. He's younger than you are. Like, da-da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, okay, I agree with new blood in these conversations, but like, it has to be new good blood. Like,
oh my God. And the bootstrap
he's not
story,
my Kid Rock, okay?
No. And the fact that everyone's latching onto his like bootstrap story, which by the way, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, as we've mentioned on this show, is a phrase that's used incorrectly. It's a phrase that doesn't work because it's impossible to do. So you can't actually pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You know what I mean?
Literally, you can't. Yeah.
The fact that he's like a rags to riches story. He's a
great.
But also, you're telling me a cisgendered straight white guy got himself out of poverty? How'd he do it?
No, I agree with you. And also, I will say this is what Pete Buttigieg said in a great interview this weekend. Like,
the one on
Mar, which I don't watch that show. Let me be clear, but I will say I did watch that interview.
I did too.
And I have to say, like, he's the king of shade, isn't he? But I have to say he's exactly right. Like he said he's like everyone else I went to school with, every rich or white guy who then got rich and now wants to protect their money. It's like with the tech guys. Yeah. You'll say anything to keep what's yours and to make sure other people don't have it. Yes. You can say the same for Robby Starbucks. This whole idea of like, no, I'm rich. Now I want to protect that. And by the way, yes, I did call Trump Hitler. And yes, I did say that he was the most evil person to ever move into politics. Oh, but then I could maybe become vice president of this country. Then I could maybe move up if I were in his good graces. At first, I wanted to be identified as someone who was the anti-Trump Republican. But now when I see that Republicans just fall in line with him, even to the point that Trump can call Ted Cruz's wife a pile of shit and Ted Cruz will fall in line with it. It's so fucked up.
And then she'll stay. And then, by the way,
the whole thing.
She'll stay in the marriage.
Totally. I honestly wish Ted Cruz's dog was the littlest hobo, if I'm honest with you.
He was
the littlest hobo.
Him.
He absolutely was. But JD Vance calls people, he literally said that anyone who was against like trans people not being able to use the same bathroom or kids not being able to get gender affirming care. He said that anyone who was against and anyone who was for drag queens was a groomer. You are fucked up beyond belief, to be honest with you. And the way that you could switch on a dime just to get success doesn't mean that you're a rags to riches bootstrap person. It means you're a white guy. That's what it means. You're a piece of fucking shit. So
you're taking advantage of the system that was built for you. Congratulations, you're mid.
Yeah, you're just like everybody else, dude. So John Deere Vance, go put, I'm going to say a phrase you don't understand.
Here we go.
Go put that tractor in reverse. Okay.
Okay, let's talk about Project 2025, which I don't really want to, but we've got to.
No, we haven't actually yet, though. So
I know, but that's why I've been let's just talk about it because everyone needs to know about it if you don't know already. It's a plan born of the acrid devil dicks of the Heritage Foundation. And they do it every year, every election under the guise of this thing they call Mandate for Leadership. So it's essentially a cheat sheet for assholes. They build this policy Bible with the hope that the conservative president in power will adopt this roadmap. The hate group has bragged that 2/3 of their 1981 mandate was adopted by Reagan and 2/3 was also adopted by Donald Trump. But the scope of of Project 2025 is by far the most ambitious and has been pumped up to an almost diabolical scale. I'm going to tell you about the parts that affect reproductive rights and gender, just for a taste of what this thing includes. They started the rhetoric out in a full panic. It starts out with this. Today, the American family is in crisis. 40% of all children are born to unmarried mothers, including more than 70% of Black children. There's no government program that can replace the hole in a child's soul cut out by the absence of a father. Fatherlessness.
Well, helping people who are living in poverty, that's one way.
Yeah.
That's supporting programs, welfare programs, and even going above and beyond those. That's a way.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. Fatherlessness is one of the principal sources of American poverty, crime, mental illness, teen suicide, substance abuse, rejection of the church, and high school dropouts.
Who could keep reading after that? I mean, that is so exhausting.
Shocking. It's shocking. Okay, so this is their thesis, right? And they, or I should call it smoke and mirrors for their plan to just have abject rule.
Mm-hmm.
But these are the policy reforms they wish to put in place in 2025 if Trump gets elected. And they are specific and they are ruthless. I'll just go through them.
Please.
First one is to revoke Executive Order 14020, which is the law signed by Biden that established a White House Gender Policy Council that would essentially advance gender equity. Gone. We don't care no more.
Right.
Fuck you guys.
It's really terrifying.
Yeah. Another is to increase abortion surveillance, making abortion data mandatory federally. So
that's horrifying.
Yep. And because they're
surveillance attached to someone's personal life, which I guess is what surveillance is so haunting.
Mm-hmm.
And so just like, why do people who want this live in this country? Go to Russia. Get out.
Or to fucking do some Quaaludes and be cool, man.
Mm-hmm.
Go do some mushrooms and connect with a tree.
Yeah.
They use this term abortion tourism, which is what they're trying to curb, which is what they essentially call people who have to go to other states for medical care.
Right.
And this is what they had to say. Because liberal states have now become sanctuaries for abortion tourism, HHS should use every available tool, including cutting of funds, to ensure that every state reports exactly how many abortions take place within its borders, at what gestational age of the child, use the term child, for what reason, the mother state of residence, and by what method.
I love that they're just basically calling. Do they think refugees are tourists?
Yes.
Is that what they think?
Mm-hmm. Medical refugees. They think it's tourism. Also, they think it's fun. Come see the sights.
Right.
Come see the speculum. They've got the best speculums in California.
God damn. Seriously.
They would also make sure no federal funding is used to assist anyone traveling to a different state for an abortion, which I think would affect military. Because I think that I could be wrong on this, but I think the military covers travel related to abortion if you are stationed in a state that has outlawed abortion, essentially. They want to defund all abortion providers, along with force the FDA to pull mifepristone and misoprostol and ban telehealth pill prescribing, along with making sure that medical professionals and doulas are not trained in how to perform abortions.
Isn't that wonderful? Just what this country needed for medical reform and for healthcare reform, less access to doctors.
Less access to doctors and doctors without knowledge on how to do their job.
Right. That's really solving the healthcare crisis.
Yeah. And then we have contraception. Now, my theory has and always will be that this is about making workers, and they're worried about the fucking birth rate declining and that they won't have labor for their fucking dumb corporations. I don't ever for 1 second think this is about Christianity. I think it's about power and money and tax base. Always. Okay. So the ways that they try to hide this are so complicated. It's like bureaucracy hiding their capitalist fucking endless thirst. So regarding contraception, the Women's Preventative Services Guideline, which is a set of recommendations from the Department of Health and Human Services, they commissioned a study that had all these recommendations, and in those recommendations, they said contraception should be accessible and include surgery and emergency contraception under the ACA. So they would eliminate those guidelines and also throw in that they want the male condom eliminated from the guidelines. So essentially no contraception whatsoever is guaranteed.
That's a wonderful idea. That, you know what, that's really going to help. It's really going to help single parenthood that they're also concerned about. That's great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They just shoot themselves in the foot I mean,
they literally started by saying like, look at these rates of fatherless whatever. And then it's like, but also make sure to only have unprotected sex.
But therein lies the sexism and the capitalism mixed in one, because it's like they think that the problems with this country and the fact that we don't have people going to church and we have teen problems and we have unwed mothers is because there's not men in the mix making things okay, taking care of their family, taking care of the household, earning the money. As if dropping a man in a situation is going to fix the shit.
Mm-hmm.
It simply doesn't. I mean, I was
Project
like,
2025 is enough, really. I mean, to make like everyone has to vote. It's a terrifying blueprint.
We are living in Margaret Atwood's first draft.
Totally.
That's what's happening right now. Now the Heritage Foundation is absolutely a dog with a bone with these mandates because they want to eliminate Head Start. And they reject the notion that universal health childcare is a thing that's even necessary and want to revive or incentivize home-based childcare solutions. Now, let me tell you this. They want to basically give, and that would be tied to your marital status. So essentially, if you're a single mother, you would get under this plan, you would get less tax breaks or whatever for in-house babysitting, childcare, than if you were married. So would essentially keep women in abusive relationships, as many of these constructs do. And also they would give extra kickbacks to, they said, the person who stays home with the kids. But this is a financial way for them to force people to go back to the 50s. Now, let me tell you what happened. Out of the workplace and into mommy's little helpers.
Right.
Do you know how many rich people I know in LA who struggle with childcare? Wealthy ass people.
Right. Who can afford it and beyond.
Who can afford to throw money at it. Cannot meet me for dinner because they don't have anybody to help.
Right.
Cannot come hang out with me at night to go see a movie because they don't have any support. These are people in a cis marriage with lots of money.
Right.
They can't fucking
Erin,
do it.
My God.
I know so many cis people with money. What I'm saying is that this is a problem with our fucking society.
Right.
Is a problem with our society, is a problem that like we have not.
It's inaccessible
we have not prioritized supporting any families at all. And if rich people can't fucking do it, how the fuck are people living middle class or below the poverty line supposed to fucking do it without help? They need fucking help.
Are any of these families, these cis families with money, are any of the men in it questioning their sexuality and want to get out of the marriage?
All of them.
Just
all of them.
Okay. I'd love.
It's LA, baby. You can do whatever you want.
I'd love an introduction.
There's no rules.
Okay, perfect.
So who would you like to meet first? Would you like to meet, tell me your kind of dream cisgendered married man, and I'll tell you who I've got for you.
Okay.
Okay. Describe him.
Bald, mustache, therapist.
Go on. I might have a couple. Go ahead.
Yeah. Slacks, always not pants, slacks.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What color?
You know, that sort of olive khaki. Yeah.
Yeah. Pleated. The gross khaki. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Baby diaper khaki.
Sometimes, you know what? And sometimes if they're in a rush, they might throw a sneaker on them, over them. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
But usually it's the loafer. It's a nice loafer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Socks to the knee. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
A nice button down. I like that. And you know what I really like is that really shocking electric blue button down. You know the one.
I do.
You can get them
sure
in a
the fuck
three-pack.
do. Sometimes they used to in the 90s come almost iridescent.
Exactly.
Like a little sheen to them.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Paisley tie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's sort of my brand of my man.
I'm going to be on the lookout.
Okay.
I've got a text chain that's just called Sis and Rich.
Perfect.
So I'll just put a call out.
I love it. Okay.
Yeah. Good. I think that there's other shit in this document. There's absolutely all, any kind of inclusive gender care is out the window. Like we are going back to the shitty basics with this plan. It should absolutely scare the shit out of you that this even exists. Mm-hmm. And when Trump's like, I don't know what Project 2025 is, don't believe him.
Yeah. I mean, who believes him?
He's going to do whatever because he doesn't fucking care. He's in for the money, henny. Someone needs to put Project 2025 right in the document shredder, which is where it belongs. I have my own Project 2025.
Yeah?
Yeah, I have a couple.
Please. Okay, good.
Housing and mental health care for the unhoused.
Yeah.
Free and legal abortion.
I like that.
Universal child care.
I love this.
Inclusive gender care for everyone, regardless of age or identity.
Love it too.
Classes for straight men on how to use and keep a calendar. Ending the war in Gaza and supporting the Ukraine with actual military muscle.
Okay.
And then someone in every city who knows how to tone gray hair. That's it, baby. That's my perfect world.
I got to tell you, Erin, what you really need, I wouldn't even write it down. I would get a chisel, grab some marble, etch it, honey. Etch it.
Did I tell you about thank you for sharing your laugh?
No.
Okay, so we go out to dinner here, which is very rare because we're working so much, but we go out to dinner, we let off a lot of steam, we laugh loudly, we're Americans, we're 75,000 decibels.
Sure.
Louder than any boat horn here.
Sure.
So the first time we went out
the orcas are gathering when you guys go to dinner. Yeah,
exactly. Exactly. And it gets magnified underwater, don't you know?
Of course.
The first time we went out, one of our friends, we were all laughing, and our friend has a louder laugh than me. You can even believe that. And we were eating dinner, and a man comes up to her and whispers in her ear, "Thank you for sharing your laugh," and then walks away.
Not what I expected to hear.
I know. And then she looked very creeped out because it was unsettling.
It's a strange thing to hear.
To just whisper to one person in a table of 10.
Thank you for sharing your laugh.
Thank you for sharing your laugh. And then she told us, and so we've just been like calling it thank you for sharing your laugh dinners.
I love it.
But then I had breakfast with a bunch of ladies on Saturday, and we were just cackling and just having the time of our lives.
Fun.
And a man walks up to us.
Stop it.
At the end. And he says, "Thank you for sharing your laugh."
What are you
What is going on in Canada? What is going? I'm telling you, everywhere I go, I do not see people laughing at tables. It's very quiet. It's very British here, but I think British people are louder than here.
Oh, well, once the pub's open, you bet.
I haven't been to a rowdy bar here, but at dinner, shit's quiet. It's quiet. And when you start laughing, the whole restaurant looks at you.
Wow.
And I don't know if there is a laughing deficit here, a joy problem in British Columbia, but please, if you live here, I want you to go to every restaurant.
Laugh.
Share your laugh. You guys need it. You need it. Okay, that was all. That was my story. Thank you for sharing your laugh. Which I think should be the end of our podcast every year, every day, and every year.
Wait, it has to be. It has to be our new outro line.
Yeah.
Speaking of outros, honey, we got some Spotify and Apple Podcast reviews.
Raphael says on Spotify, "I have decided that I live in this podcast now. It is my home. I arrive at my house, plop my headphones on, and listen to old episodes during every waking moment."
I love that. Brian Cueva, also on Spotify, said, "I love it all. My favorite podcast." Excuse me. And please.
Tiffany. Yeah. Tiffany says, my name is Tiffany and this was the pep talk I didn't know I needed. I am the nude hose.
I'm so proud of you. Riley Ann says, I've been listening since 2015 and the show never fails to make me laugh. Keep it up, Erin and Bryan. We will, baby.
Good on Apple.
Yeah.
Missy Crozier says, Erin's Canada Corner is my new favorite part of the show.
Honestly, it's mine too.
It's almost over. I'm going to be gone in August. I'm going to really, and can I just say this again?
Soak it up, Erin.
I said it at the beginning.
Soak it up. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm talking about the stuff I find funny and odd. I find so many things about this place charming and wonderful and warm and fun and weird and great and cool. That's not funny to talk about.
Right.
It's just simply not. So that's why you're not hearing it.
Yeah.
But I adore this place.
Jackie, you're 5 stars. I beg you, prioritize your mental health and definitely take a break if you need to. Absolutely. They're talking about my break from Dateline. I'm listening to the newest Dateline episode and I beg you, please don't stop doing the Datelines. I will go back. I do want people to know it's a break. Okay. Please. They're one of the few things getting me through each work week. Well, I apologize. Listen, this is another thing we need to etch. I apologize this week for the littlest hobo. Okay. But I will say Daylines will be back. I just needed a break. The last one really threw me for a loop.
Hillywood 14 says, love, love, love. This podcast is the best. So funny and brings a smile to my face every time I listen.
And Philly Ray 86, 5 stars, rich, pour yourself a glass of your favorite cooking sherry and settle in for the best darn Bible study podcast on the World Wide Web. Yes, honey, World Wide Web, Kid Rock. Go to patreon.com/attitudes for the littlest hobo and for the Vault episode, for the Q&A, for all these other things.
It's all there. And until next week.
Go ahead, Erin.
Thank you for sharing your laugh.
Thank you for sharing your laugh.